Guys, today we're gonna solve quiz number 7. So let's start preview, start quiz. And as usual, guys, read question number 1, pause the video and try to solve it, and then we're gonna solve it together. So let's go here, and let's remember the question says that we need to check the validity of a password. If the password is invalid, the program will ask the user again to enter a valid password, and these are the properties of a valid password. Contains at least one capital, so I need to check whether it contains a capital or not. 2 digits, the length, the minimum and the maximum. So let's go here. As the first thing that I'm going to assume that valid is equal to false. So I'm going to assume first that the password is not valid. And here I'm going to say while valid equal to false, or I can say something like this, while not valid. So if the password is not valid, I'm going to assume that at the beginning that I have has capital is false. I don't have a capital. So I'm going to write here has capital equal to false. The second thing is has digit. I'm going to assume that the password doesn't have any digits, so digit equal to 0. It's the same idea when it comes to the minimum and the maximum. So I'm going to assume that the minimum and the maximum are false. That's the first thing. That's my assumption. And now I'm going to prove that if the user has entered no a valid, then I'm going to convert these into true, and this one should be at least 2. So the first thing in the loop now, I'm going to ask the user to enter what? A password. So a simple, straightforward question, please enter your password. So after the user is going to enter the password, I'm going to check whether the password is like has minimum. And what does it mean has minimum length? It means that the length of the password that I have entered, the length, its length, so this is the length of the password, should be equal what? Greater than or equal 6. If this is the case, so what's going to happen to this has minimum? Has minimum is going to be what? Is going to be, instead of false, is going to be true. Okay, so now you got the idea. What about the maximum? The same thing, but instead of saying that if length of password is greater than or equal 6, I'm going to say that length of password less than or equal 12. And if this is the case, then has maximum is going to be equal to true. Okay? What about now the has digit and has capital? When it comes to the has capital, some of you, and I want you to pay attention to this one, some of you has said something like this. If password dot is upper equal true, for example, and they have said something like this. Now put has capital equal to. Has capital equal to, and this is actually totally wrong. Password dot upper, if I let's say if I open a Python shell here, let's say I have entered my password to be hello. So let's enter hello. Hello contains a capital, yes. So let's say dot is upper, and let's see what's gonna give us. It's gonna give us false, because this one is testing whether the whole is capital. So if I write, for example, hello and all capital, and now dot is upper, let's see what's gonna happen. As you can see now, it's true. Why? Because all of these letters are capitals. But actually, I don't want this. So I cannot write hello.upper. I cannot write password.upper. I want to check whether there is a character in this one is what is upper. So if you write something like this, you're going to get 0. This is not acceptable at all. So what should I do? I should loop one by one on this and check each letter of the word that I'm going to enter, whether it's capital or not. So how I do this? Remember, we have a for loop. So I'm going to write it very quickly here. So we're going to write something like this. For I in password, so for each character in the word password that you have entered, if that character dot is upper is equal to true, then it means that I have a capital letter, put capital letter equal to true. Is this clear? This is important. I don't want to see in the exam dot upper, dot lower for what? For a word. I'm not talking about the whole word, I'm talking about a character in the word. It's the same idea when it comes to the digits. It's the same idea exactly when it comes to the digit. So when it comes to the digit, again, I'm gonna loop through the password, and again, I'm gonna check whether it's digit, that character is digit or not. If yes, I'm gonna increment this by 1. At least I need to. Okay? So now after that, I'm done checking these. I want to check now whether I'm gonna repeat or not. If all this is true, then I'm not going to repeat. If one of them is not true, then I'm gonna repeat. So what do I need? I need all of these to be true. And what does it mean, all of these to be true? It's something like this. If has minimum equal true, and has maximum. So when you don't write anything like this, it means equal true, okay? Or if you want, you can put something like this, equal to. It's the same idea. If has minimum, it means that has minimum is true. And has maximum, it means has maximum is true, because this is gonna be true or false. Okay, and has capital is true. And look, this one is not true or false. I put like has digits greater than or equal to 2. Again, you can put equal true, equal true, equal true, and it will make no difference. If all these are true, what's going to happen to this valid? Valid is going to be now not false. Valid is going to be equal to true. Okay, else, in this case, I'm going to give an instruction to the user, and I'm going to say, please enter a valid password. So I'm going to give the user a instruction. When I'm done with everything, let's say print you are logged, for example. You are logged in, for example. Anything. So let me save, and let me, what do you want to call it? Let me call it, for example, quiz 07 question 1A. Let's see. Let me run it and see what's going to happen. Enter a password. So let's try first to enter a valid password. A valid password is something like this. S, let's say H, small s, it's a small s, capital H, EE, 1, 2, 3. It contains 2 letters, 1 capital, it contains 2 digits at least, 1 capital, and what else? The minimum and the maximum is between 6. So you are logged in, and this is a valid. Let's run it again. And now let's check, for example, the same S, capital H, EE, J, O, J, O. So this one, it contains everything valid except for the 2 digits. It contains capital, small, and what else? Between 6 and 12. So not valid, enter a password. Okay, so let me enter now, for example, the password contains hello, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it contains 2 letters, but it doesn't contain a capital. So let me put hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. You are logged in. So let me enter something that is less than 6 characters. So capital H, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's say capital H, E. Not valid because it doesn't have. So as you can see, it's very simple, straightforward. Maybe some of you will put these outside the while loop, and this is not correct, because if you enter something which is not correct and it has capital, then capital is gonna be true. So when you again loop, you don't need, actually it's not going to check this one because it's already true, and this means that if the next password doesn't contain capital, it will accept it. So always like reset your counters whenever you enter a new password. Okay guys, so this is question number 1. Let's go direct. So question number 2 is a straightforward question. Pause the video again and try to solve it. Write a program, a balance. The program will ask to enter a list of deposit money until you enter -1. So enter deposit, enter deposit, enter deposit. The program will ask the user to enter withdraw, withdraw, withdraw. And the program will print the maximum amount of deposit money, the minimum amount of the withdrawn money, and show the balance after all the transactions. So as you can see, maximum, minimum, and show the balance. So let's go here. Let's go back to our Control A and delete. And let's try now to solve this question. So the question is not that much hard. The question is straightforward. What do I need to do? I need to ask the user to enter a deposit, check this deposit whether it's -1 or not. If it's not -1, then I need to keep track of the maximum and so on. So at the beginning, I'm going to assume that the balance is equal to 0. As usual, I'm going to ask the user to deposit some money. And I'm going to assume, since I don't know the number of times the user is going to enter, I'm going to ask to enter for the first time. I can put the maximum to be equal 0 because I will not deposit in a negative. But let's say that the maximum is equal to the first amount that you have entered. The next step is to loop until the user enter what? Enter -1. So I'm going to loop until the user enter -1. Each time the user is going to loop, I'm going to add the amount the user has entered to the balance, which is initially 0. Then after that, I'm going to check if the deposit, the amount deposit, is greater than the maximum deposit. So in this case, what's going to happen? We're really sorry. Maximum deposit, you're not actually still the maximum. We have a new maximum, which is the deposit. So equal deposit. Is this clear? So that's how I keep track of the balance and I keep track of the maximum. Don't ask me here to put enter and then directly you say enter. Some of you actually, I don't understand the logic why they want actually to lose this one here. Because when you ask me to enter a deposit and you don't do anything, you directly ask me again here to enter a deposit. Why you're doing this? I don't know why. So when you enter here, the maximum is going to be this one here, but the amount that you have entered here will not be added to the balance. If you enter 500 here and you enter here 10, for example, dollars, then in deposit, instead of I having $10 and 510, I will have only 10. And this is not correct. So pay attention, please, guys, for these things. Okay, so, and I'm gonna, when I'm done with this, now I'm gonna ask the user again to enter. Okay, this part is for what? This part is for the deposit. I will have another part which is very similar, and it's going to be for the withdraw. So it's the same idea, but instead of deposit, I'm gonna write a withdraw. So I'm gonna come here and let me go outside this while loop, and I'm gonna put another while loop. So I'm gonna ask you for the withdraw, and again, I'm gonna, because we want to keep track of the minimum withdraw, while withdraw is different from -1, the same idea. But here, you know that when you withdraw, your balance is not going to be increased like here. Where is it? Your balance is, you're gonna subtract from the balance. If withdraw greater than the minimum withdraw, actually it shouldn't be greater than, it should be less than the minimum withdraw. Then we're really sorry, you're not the minimum. This guy is the minimum, and you input. When you're done with this loop, you enter -1 also here. What do you want to print? You want to print the minimum, the maximum, and the balance. And that's actually what I'm gonna do with these three things. Print the maximum, print the minimum, and print the balance. Okay, guys, so this is a quick revision of quiz number 7. We will go to quiz number 8 in the next video.